Hi, welcome to the Jump Off Point. I'm Sly,
I'm Spooky.
I'm the chief.
and we have just finished watching Star Trek Discovery Episode 9,
Yeah, I'm finished.
which is called Into the Forest I Go. So, maybe we'll just jump Spook Chief. What did you think of it?
Fucking shit.
Maybe we'll jump Chief. So, what?
I don't know. I've given it all I could this series, and now this has gone to the fucking useless piece of crap that it is. The best thing in the whole episode, out of everything, was the Klingons actually started speaking English. They actually started getting
Interesting.
They started getting some emotion in it. That Cole started actually getting good, and he fucking got killed. And they've got rid of him all. And it's like, fucking, I don't care about anyone else. He's the one I care about the most, actually, in the whole episode, and they killed him off.
And if you're just tuning in, that's a spoiler.
And I'll just interject that Chief's usually the apologist in this group.
Not apologist, I'm a realist, thanks very much.
And
He's really an apologist.
And a few episodes ago, he said to me, Sly, you're swearing too much. So, I think that shows you what the Chief thinks. Spook.
This show is boldly going where no Star Trek show has ever gone before.
Or would want to go.
It's just really, really bad. I mean, you watch an episode like that, and you should come away with some sense of understanding about what it is you've seen. That was just a hodgepodge of
Shit. Various different types of shit.
and I've harped upon this several times during these things. There's stakes here that are being discussed, about this war, and we're doing this to save trillions. I haven't seen anything beyond the fucking bridge of the Death Ship and the bridge of the fucking Discovery to show me that there's some sort of fucking war going on in this TV show.
And the Parvo.
Well, they just kind of forgot all about the Parvo. So the Parvo got them both there, and then they're just conveniently the plot point disappeared.
It's a really typical Kurtzman plot device just to drive the story. It has no relevance. It has no justification for really existing. I know there's a naturally occurring communications array and all that, but it's just something there to dangle.
No, the Parvo called them both. That's what I'm saying. The Parvo called both ships and then disappeared.
It should actually fit into the story, but it's just a carrot in front of the horse to drive them from point A to point B to point C.
About the back of the horse, but
well, yeah, but I mean, and that's the way a lot of this Star Trek Discovery has unfolded. Like the three JJ Trek movies, particularly the first two, there's not a lot of sense in why things happen. They just happen because they need to get from point A to point B to point C and keep having things happen. And this one had a lot of stuff happen.
But there's no sort of arc here that's being served, other than the fact there's a reference to a war.
that's it. The arc is war and nothing else. Because they're killing off everyone else.
My understanding of this episode is that they wanted something to combat the cloaking technology of the Klingons. And then their plan was to beam some fucking sensors to beam some people on there to plant some sensors so they could...
Some big bright sensors.
Deprogram what it is that makes the cloaking device work. And then 8 seconds later, their long-range fucking sensors pick up the fucking Klingon cloak ship. How do you have that imbalance in a show that bad? Or maybe I missed something. Maybe it's me. Is it me?
No, it's not you.
But it's one of those things too. So you're going to beam aboard the ship, the cloak ship. Oh, it wasn't cloaks and they beamed aboard, but they're going to beam aboard it to plan some stuff to work out how the cloak operates. I mean, maybe just plant a bomb on it, or...
Well, I think
and do you really need to beam aboard? You can't just beam aboard some sensors. Apparently, the Klingons don't have Norton's antivirus or anything on board because it doesn't detect two humans running around planting stuff.
In the Harry Mudd episode, they couldn't detect the ship up the Squid's clacker. That
was the humans.
The humans. So why would you think the Klingons are any better?
They did explain that we have the special lights on our uniforms that says we aren't humans to the Klingon sensors. But that still doesn't excuse the fact that the Klingons obviously have no capacity to detect a fucking transporter beam coming into their ship. It has no capacity that when fucking this guy cuts through their wiring to open a fucking secure door, that no alarms or alerts go off anywhere to say, well, geez, that's not normal. Or maybe get the maintenance guy over with a broom and a shovel to clean up the fucking mess. Nothing happens. Nobody appears anywhere. Then when they're on this ship, stealthing around, there's no fucking threat presenting himself.
All right, let's go. Let's actually look at some of the story arcs that have sort of been, well, they haven't been furthered throughout this season, but they go back to them every now and again. So Vok, we haven't seen him. He's just, I don't know, gone off for a pizza or something, unless he reappears as one of the other people we know. So Vok, nothing. Admiral, she was kidnapped about 4 episodes ago. At no point have they tried to rescue her, and then they just stumble upon her by accident. She's just in that little room with the dead people.
And supposedly she died.
Ingmar Bergman flagged that no one dies, or she has to bring them all back, or some fucking change. But didn't that imply that she knew the Admiral was there?
No, she
or
just
she
knew
assumed
some human life sign was on the ship. But that's what you're going to do. You're going to distract yourself from your mission to go and look at something.
This is one of these episodes.
So the logic, she's taken a logic detour because she's not logical at all in any of this episode.
In this whole series, but it's just this is the fucking problem with her as a character. Which is it? Is she human or is she Vulcan? Which way is she? What is she trying to fight? The emotion or the logic? I mean, in the original series, you constantly see Spock being logical, and then there's these little human asides, and he tries to stamp him down, but that's what makes him fascinating. And you see that they do that also with Data, they do it with Odo in DS9. She's just fucking all over the place. You don't know what you're going to get, and they just will throw out one part of her background. Oh, she's this Vulcan, she's Vulcan upbringing, she's using her logic to justify this decision. But then she'll fucking make other decisions where you're just thinking, well, why hasn't the logic kicked in then? She is so, sorry, it's going to be politically incorrect, so fucking bipolar with her decision making. It just makes her such a hard character to follow, because you just never know.
I liked her in the first few episodes, but by this stage, I don't care about her anymore. I actually said it right at the start when we first started these reviews. I said she was the best thing in the show, and now we get to.
You were doing a lot of LDS.
Oh, I was doing a lot of LDS.
I actually think
now we get to the end, and
I actually think though
she's a dud. I don't like her anymore.
I reckon if you go watch the first couple episodes, it's not that she's a good character. I think she was just played really well by the actress, Sonic Martin Green. She played the part really well. But again, if you look at that very first episode where she neck pinches the captain, we had an argument about this too. Like, I thought that was a really stupid response. That's like Superman breaking Zod's neck in Man of Shit. That's the whole thing where, like, okay, if this is a solution whenever you're confronted with a situation you cannot digest and rationalize, you are just going to take this extreme action. And in the service that you have both with Superman and her, Michael Burnham, you're going to be faced with a lot of these fucking decisions. And is that going to always be a response? Just Superman break a neck, fucking Burnham just neck pinch someone, and then go mutiny. And that's why these characters are all over the place. They have no moral center for her. They have no grounding for her. And going on with the arcs, Laurel, the Klingon woman torturer, she was dragged off unceremoniously previous episode after it seemed that she'd been anointed. And in this episode, we find they just threw her in the room of the dead.
The room of non-rotting corpses.
Yeah. With her friends, Kevin and Bob and all those other Klingons. And to get one of these arcs where you think, well, maybe that'll be interesting. But no, it's just, how many arcs were tied up in this fucking episode? And again, go back like about 4 episodes, I think it was about 4, where Stamets looked in the reflection of the mirror and he walked off and the reflection just stood there.
Yeah, it's never been looked at again.
Never did anything with that.
Other than his hysterics in the Harry Mudd episode. And how many of these things have just gone on totally unexplored, and then they just get to an episode like this and they behave like, oh, hang on, let's just go for it. Let's just fucking tie it all up in one.
What did they tie up? They tied up nothing. Other than tied up the Klingon, they haven't tied up anyone.
No,
and she just conveniently woke up after she got the phased when they were beaming him back.
They rescued the Admiral, so that was one. They brought the Klingon in, so she's got her little defection storyline that's tied up. And Stamets has had his little... I don't know. I don't really care. So they've sort of pushed everything to the next stage, even though they never actually explored any of the journey of why those arcs went from where they began to where they are now. So it's really just sort of a fucking total randomization of all their story threads, and they've just thrown them in, and someone's just ticked off all these checkboxes and said, "Yep, we've addressed this, we've addressed this, we've addressed this," even though we never actually explored the story of how these things unfolded. It's really just fucking deplorable.
I mean, it's also like what you were saying with the rescue of the Admiral. What purpose did that serve? So your job here is to... And let's say we buy into this for a second. We put the 2 fucking scanners in the ship. We scan. We work out how to break the cloaking technology. That ultimately shifts the balance of power in this war that we'd never see. Why would you deviate from that to go and save the Admiral? What's she going to add to this? How is she better... Or why is she more important at this stage of that mission?
Well, they didn't even know it was the Admiral at that point. They just knew there was a fleeting human life sign on this ship. I don't mind if they actually turned it, they put the devices on and then they looked for the Admiral. That then becomes half plausible because they've done their job on setting him up.
Rescuing her does nothing though. Yeah, unless you have one throwaway line that says, "Well, she holds the knowledge of this, and we need her to do this. We have to get her out now." That's going to help us.
Let me pose a totally fucking different thing.
Because I don't care about her.
Let me just pose a totally different scenario. So, as Chief pointed out, the very, very angry Vulcan Admiral who was telling the Discovery, "You need to get back to Starbase 46," and Lorca said, "Okay, we'll go." But he had this whole subterfuge, we'll go, but, we need to find a solution in that time that it would take us to get back. But it would have worked a lot better if, Discovery detected this Klingon ship. It detected this human life sign, but they reasoned out, it's the Admiral. We should actually launch a rescue mission to get her back. And this will justify why we've stayed out here, rather than observing the other Admirals, the angry Admirals' orders. That would have worked a lot better, because then you actually have reason to go find her.
But there's no reason to go find her. Where does it benefit Starfleet to rescue her?
But that's
one person in the midst of war that's a prisoner of war.
It's an Admiral. You're going to go on and try and rescue an Admiral.
But that's again... Because
in the military, you got to rescue the ranks. Otherwise, there's no point in fighting. It's just part of the military psyche that you've got to put in place is, if you get captured, we're going to come for you. Otherwise, why would they fight and not die? That's part of the psyche. That's fine.
But you're both right in terms of in what they've shown us. The Spook says, "Why would you rescue her?" But as you've said, they should have actually established this. We need to get this person back. We need to have this imperative. We're not going to leave anyone behind after what happened in episode 1 and 2. We're not leaving anyone behind if we can help them.
Because they're going to get tortured. Because it's proof. The security guard, what's his name? Tyler. If they get there, they get tortured. And Lorca, could have said, "But I got captured, I got tortured. We can't leave anyone in that position anymore. We always got to get them because the Klingons have no mercy on torture." That's fine.
No mercy. I shined the flashlight in his eyes.
So you can you imagine try and save him.
Can you imagine if this was next gen, and if you look at a few times Picard went through absolute shit. And he had conversations with Troy. Can you imagine if there was a similar dichotomy here where Lorca had a relationship with a counsellor, and the counsellor said, "What did they do to you?" And he said, "They shined flashlights in my eyes."
Was it a big dolphin? Was it a little LED one, or was it a big flashlight?
But who's the security guy? What's his name?
Tyler. He used to be in Aerosmith.
This fucking guy has been a prisoner for 7 months. He makes the statement after the fact when he's in the room with Bergman at the end, and says, "Every fucking night I've had nightmares about this." He's the first one to put his hands up to say, "I want to go on this fucking mission," and not without any thought to saying, "Well, geez, I'm probably a little bit fucking stressed about this. Maybe I shouldn't go." Or
go on somebody on the vessel.
At no point has he ever demonstrated any. And look, I don't understand post-traumatic traumatic.
You will about an hour after watching this episode.
Other than watching this fucking show, but none of it makes sense in the lead-in. He hasn't had a trait that we've seen, and he's been on this show now 4 or 5 episodes.
4 or 5 episodes.
He seemed pretty fucking well balanced and reasoned to me, not showing any signs of stress, and yet it all comes out at the moment when.
Oh yeah, he had a major.
Geez, that was fucking amazing. And maybe it works that way. I don't know, but fucking hell.
My bigger problem is, and it's that whole Star Wars, Farce Awakens logic of what was his name? Finn. You know, he had the plans for the Death Star, even though he was just a janitor. So, so in this episode, Michael Burnham, who'd only ever seen the bridge, it seemed, of his ship when she went aboard and killed
She knows better than
Kuvma,
anyone else.
and Tyler, who was probably only in the brig or a torturer's room for those
But he
7
wasn't
months.
even a brig on that fucking ship.
No, he was on the
He
other
was
ship.
on the other Klingon ship.
Yeah, and it's like, but apparently these two know the whole blueprint of a Klingon ship better than
I
anyone
could
else.
never figure out why they left that ship after the battle in the first instance. Why would you leave that ship after the battle in episode 1? Just let it sitting around.
That
Ship of the Dead.
The ship of the dead.
because it was the only one that had cloaking technology.
Yeah, but why would you leave it empty? Like, the battle was done, and I'll say I'm going back to the first episode. The battle was done. There was Federation space in essence, but they left the ship there, and they left the other ship there too. Why would Starfleet have left those ships just
Oh, you mean just
in-
drifting? Yeah.
just drifting in space?
you gotta remember
I
that-
can't figure out. I couldn't figure out even to now.
No, but
why they do
that's
that.
you know, we said in one of the blogs. I mean, why these ships just floating around, and then Captain Giorgio, she wheeled her telescope to Michael Burnham.
Yeah.
So someo's gone back aboard that ship to get
Yeah.
the telescope, but they've gone. Well, we'll just leave the warp core there. That's
Yeah, but
fine.
yeah,
Jeez,
or,
I hope
and
there's no
everything else.
Klingons out here.
And it's just sort of that total. Every episode of this fucking universe, there's no actual real logic or fork on into it. It's just
No.
like, this is where we're going to start on page 1, and then everything will just unfold. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense to how all this was constructed. We're just going to go ahead with it anyway, because this is the way we tell stories. And this has been abysmal storytelling. In fairness to it, it looks beautiful. Like, so a lot of the visuals and that were great, except for all those fucking angle shots on the Discovery. How many times we have to get angles of, you know, crews standing there and all that shit? I actually thought the last few episodes have felt the most Star Trek-like in terms of they've actually had interplay on the bridge. It feels like they've actually got the crew in place now for the most part, even though they've got about 19 characters
That do nothing.
that do nothing but are constantly there. But at least it feels like, you know, they're on the bridge. But having said that, I mean, one of the fucking problems is whenever the captain has a discussion with anyone, apparently everyone has to stop what they're doing to turn around and listen to what the captain and everyone else, it's not, you know, whoever else he's talking to is saying. I mean, and there was that one fucking really bad scene where the captain was talking about the valor of the crew. You know, they used to be peaceful scientists and all this shit. But now they've shown their true mettle, you know, they've shown their valor, and they do a fucking wide shot of Saru giving a smile and a nod to someone else.
It's the flying high. They're all smiling, you know. It's one of those
And
ones.
There is only one.
It's one of those ones.
And one of the things I want to fucking work out also is, you know, he's giving his fucking speech about, oh, you were all, you know, polite. I think he said polite. Polite scientists, and they were serving on this ship until, you know, we came aboard thinking, but they put Saru there, who was coming from the fucking Shinzu, which is involved in the war.
No, that was before Saru and him went on there, though.
No, but I'm assuming they've put Saru, Borgface, the woman that came, the one that has a half a face.
Yeah.
You know,
And Lorca.
and Lorca. You think, but why are you putting these military people aboard?
What about the Black Ops? Where did they go?
Which Black Ops?
Remember Black Ops and
The
the,
Black Ops, the-
episode where the
ones that look like
the
real
pilot
soldiers?
flew past the shuttlecraft window and the prisoners got brought on board.
I don't remember any of this. Well, why
Let's
ask me
remember.
to go
And
back?
the prisoners came on board, and I go-
post-traumatic stress
And
syndrome
the,
because of this.
and the prisoners
shit.
came on board, and you know, the one prisoner goes, "Ooh, that's different. Black badges. I've never seen those.
Oh, that's
And
right.
you won't see them again. That's the beauty.
Like the breath scan. You won't see that again either."
Fuck me.
This series has got seriously so out
Bad.
of control.
Bad.
And let me just pull up a list that I was talking to Spook about. Okay, so this series, if I said this series has introduced the following, how long do you think this series would have went for? The Spore Drive, the Space Goat, the Time Crystal, which is your favourite, the Squid Monster, holographic communication, breath scan, naturally occurring transmitter on the planet, and transwarp mind melds. They've introduced all that. How long do you think this series would have gone for if you hadn't been watching it? You think this would have probably taken about 2-3 years to introduce all this shit? They've done it in 8 episodes.
Oh, I've said it's rushed. Everything just seems rushed. And again, this was another one. It's just rushed.
That's TV now, though. No one builds anything up.
You could build
It's
something up.
It's like the romance between Bergman and Tyler.
Oh.
Yeah, that was fucking. Yeah, they met, and 3 episodes later, they're
It's
fucking-
like they're at a club and hooking up.
Yeah,
Right,
there's no tension or anything. You know, no sexual
Nothing.
tension you want to build.
Okay, just stop this though. Go back to my little list, alright? Now look at how much of this stuff actually has function in this universe. As in, it's an expansion, extrapolation of tech that's come before in Star Trek or whatever, and how much of it is just introduced as a convenient plot driver. Transwarp mind meld. It's just a convenient plot driver. Sarek had projected his mind, said, I'm injured, whatever.
It
Michael,
shouldn't
but, yeah.
it's-
Never in 50 years of Star Trek hasn't happened, but they've introduced this one. The naturally occurring transmitter. Well, we saw what a plot driver that was. That has nothing to do with anything. Breath scan appeared in episode 1, has not appeared again. Holographic.
That was a good thing by the writers about that one. Didn't quite work, so let's get rid of it.
Yeah. Holographic communication. I've said in one of the blogs, okay, fine, I understand that's more of an expansion of what they can do with special effects nowadays, as opposed to just an expansion of the tech in the universe. I'll give them that as a giveaway. It's like in the original series, animated series, they actually introduced a holodeck. That was considered canon. When TNG came along in 87, they thought, yeah, we can do this as a special effect. And they went ahead with it. So I'll look at it like that. The squid monster, well, there's a few monsters in...
The writing team.
Yep. In Star Trek, the time crystal, which was just a massive, massive convenience to drive the plot where it needed to go. The space goat and the spore drive. Again, these are all things they've just introduced just to push story along. They have no real function in this universe as part of the tech.
No, yeah, but that space goat and the spore drive, that is crucial to the whole series. Because that's what it's all about. It's having the spore drive.
It's also stupendously non-canonical.
That's the big
Okay,
one.
it is
has to-
stupendously non-canonical.
It all has to end because this never was ever mentioned.
No, yeah,
in
it's got to
Trek at
go.
all.
Which is what they kind of tried to do at the end. Oh, I'm only going to do it one more time and then I can't do it anymore. As Zametz was saying. And then obviously, dead meat Zametz, obviously, because it was just everything that he did when he said, oh, this is going to be the last one that I'm going to do. And I'm going to go see a space opera with you and all this other thing. You knew that it's just, there's something's going to go wrong. And he's
my
just,
last mission.
oh,
I'm
no,
going tomorrow.
last
Can't
time
wait
we're
to
going to
see my
do it.
family.
Oh, it's just, you knew something was going to go wrong, and obviously it did. But to set up the second half of this first season to wherever the hell they went, which is obviously another time
they've
loop
foreshadowed
somewhere.
the alternate.
No, it's another
universe,
time
so-
loop, alternate universe thing.
This
so-
will be one where it's post the war, and we'll learn from the mistakes, and then we'll time jump back, and then we'll fix it all.
and we'll stop the war. So that's what this one will be about.
I actually think they're going to do a bit of a yesterday's enterprise with this. I think when they get back, they're going to find, in their absence, the war turned against them, or the Federation Starfleet, because they didn't have the Discovery,
And they didn't have the
spoof drive.
the way to get the cloaking device, because he said,
Yeah.
we're going to get to your levels. There's the other thing. They figured out a solution to that cloaking device between 3 people in 1 hour. And all these brightest minds of Starfleet and all these labs and all these things all over the
Starfleet, have
all
we
over
seen-
there.
have we seen
can't
Starfleet?
can't figure out a thing. Yeah, the angry Vulcan.
Have we seen? Oh yeah, apart from that and the Admiral, that's the fucking only people of Starfleet we
It's
ever
the only
seen.
thing. But yeah, they figured out a solution in an hour, and no one could figure out anything else.
And only one shot at it too.
Yeah.
There was no building towards something.
It's just,
no
let's
trial
figure
and
out a
error.
way.
Yep, we need to do this. Let me just think about that. Here is my idea.
Yeah, weren't we thinking about it before? Trying to figure out a solution to it? No. We'll just figure, let's figure it out now. Oh, let's put out our thinking caps on, everyone. Let's put the thinking caps.
I tell you what else really annoyed me is when Discovery is coming back to engage the Klingons, and the Klingons were on, they showed the Klingons on the bridge talking about the Discovery, and Kyle was he was totally deriding and he was going, oh, fucking those stupid humans, they're coming back to fight us, what idiots, one ship and all this. According to Sarek in episode 1, the Klingons should have seen that as a bit of a valiant thing,
Yeah,
not
sign
a
of respect.
Yeah, not this totally contemptible, weak-assed act.
And it's not like we've seen that many battles with Discovery where it's dragged a lot of ships with it. It does everything on its fucking own. It shouldn't come as a surprise that this is the tactic.
I actually think now that we've seen 9 episodes,
9, is it?
yeah, 9, it feels more like
900.
Yeah. I think this series it has the ingredients to have been interesting. It would have been a lot better if he got rid of the whole Shinzu shit at the beginning. If it just began with the Discovery as a science vessel exploring this spore drive. They have another captain, whoever it is. The war breaks out for whatever reason. Lorca comes aboard, recognizes the technology could be useful in the war, and he totally, takes over the Discovery and says, well, this is, you used to be a science vessel, we're now geared towards war, and we're going to transform, and everyone's got to change. And he started bringing his own people aboard, and you actually had a clash of Star Trek ideology, of, exploration, people working together, and this militaristic view, and you actually found this medium in between them.
But that again all leads to the argument that this should have been a post-Trek series.
You didn't need to put it. You did
As
not
a
need
prequel
to put it
series,
here.
It just doesn't
in this timeline.
Doesn't fit. You would have accepted a lot more of this begrudgingly if it was set 100
I
years.
don't-
When was Enterprise set?
Set up 40, 50 years before.
Yeah, 70 years before.
70 years after.
Before
So you could have set it 35 years. You just give it enough time.
I actually don't
to do it.
I actually don't. I don't mind. That they sit there as a prequel. It's just they haven't done it very well. And you get, that whole Klingon War. I actually think that's a pretty interesting thing they could have done. I mean, probably the first thing
within the confines.
Yeah,
of
but that's
what's
what
been established.
the first thing they should have done. I still
don't take everything fucking new and fresh.
I still don't understand why they've changed the Klingons, and they might later on at some point introduce a virus, a retcon, whatever it is, and the Klingons change into Klingons.
Kurtzman.
Yeah, whatever, and they change into whatever the Klingons we know. But you know what? If I have to watch, okay, I've watched 9 episodes so far. Let's say they solve that in 15 episodes. If I still have to watch 15 episodes to get to that point, it doesn't work for me because I had to suffer through 15 episodes to get there, and it wasn't a very entertaining ride. As the chief said, once the Klingons started speaking English this episode,
They were good.
They were interesting.
They were interesting. Every other time they've appeared, they've brought the whole tone down. Now that whole thing with Cole on the bridge of the Ship of the Dead, that was great. That was the best Klingon thing in the whole series. Like I said, he showed emotion. He's actually the guy who was obviously playing him seemed to be enjoying it. That was good. They had a brawl. It was good. It was
the
good.
closest.
I felt more Klingon-y.
Yeah, it's the closest they got into the actual true Klingon. But that's the thing is, like, if you have to watch, as I said, 15 episodes to get them back there, if that was what's going to occur, and I think it will, but if that was what was going to occur, that doesn't work. You don't subject people to 15 hours of shit to get them to something which might be cool. It doesn't work that way. It's like, you could have the greatest twist in the world, but if you have to endure all this crap to get to it, it's not that great a twist. This would have worked a lot better if you had just the typical, Klingons. Even if they were the original series Klingons without the ridges or whatever. Or even if you use this series as a bridge to show Klingons without ridges and Klingons developing ridges. Whatever reason they actually apply to it. To actually totally reinvent them, I reckon that's the first major fuck up, and that a lot would follow, but that's the first major fuck up they did. It just doesn't work.
This is what we said before, though. It's just the knock-on effect of the JJ films. They were successful. That formula is now being applied to this TV show. They think they can reinvigorate it by using that same formula of success that made the movies make a lot of money. It just doesn't work.
But the thing you got to think about the JJ Treks is the first one made a lot of money because it was sexy and appealed to a lot of non-Trekkies. And they went and watched it. But it was really boring. I mean, at the end, I think people walked away and just said, okay, they entertained me for 2 hours. And I don't remember any of it. Like a lot of action movies now. So when
Discovery episodes.
Yeah. And when Star Trek Into Darkness came along, and, they tried to integrate Khan into that universe for some absurd reason, nobody liked the fucking movie. It's terrible. So how long do you think this formula of just being this flashy, action-oriented, mindless, senseless flick is going to really appeal to fans? And the funny thing is, they're trying to draw in new fans. It's not about the Trekkers. The Trekkers would just come in regardless. If this was just a generic Trek series like Voyager, I watched all of Voyager a couple of times, even though it was not a very good series. We'd all watch it. They're trying to get other fans in, but these other fans aren't going to fucking stay long term because it's just not a very well written, well drawn, well rounded series.
Now, you look, and what you're talking about there makes me think of the reimagined Battlestar Galactica. Battlestar Galactica was probably popular when I was a kid, and for your kitsch value, you would have looked at this show when it came out and thought, I'll look at it because, I like the Vipers, I like the Cylons. How good. All of a sudden, right off the fucking bat, this show was really fucking good and really engaging. And as I said to my wife, who refuses to watch sci-fi, if you could overlook that, you could watch this series and you'd really, really enjoy it. And that's probably where it missed
lost
out.
quite a bit at the end.
Oh well, yeah, but still.
Well, that's a
the
story
point
for
being
another
that,
time.
that a greatly told story.
No, they did very well.
Doesn't matter whether it's a science fiction setting or not. We'll get people in to watch it.
Of course.
This won't get anyone in to watch Star Trek now. I can't see people going out and paying CBS a lot of money to stream it next.
And the other thing
time
is,
round.
because it is so arc-oriented, even though it doesn't do the arc very well, people aren't going to be jumping on board in episode 10 and going, who is this Klingon guy that speaks in the monotone? Why does this captain have to have eye drops? Who's this character, Michael Burnham, that keeps bringing up the past or whatever the shit is? There's just too much to actually...
You've always got to reference
yeah.
other previous episodes. It's not a self-contained episode in any of these 9 episodes. You always have to reference something else. And then another one, and then another one, and another one. So you can't even just reference the previous episode. You've got to reference back to series 1, episode 1. There's nothing there that's just self-contained. And like I said, they've all just... I don't care.
But that's the whole thing about who's this series for. I mean, you're always going to drag the Trek fans in regardless. You could put anything in out there.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Because it's got Star Trek as a name.
Yeah.
You're going to bring the Star Trek.
You're going to bring. So they've tried to glitz it up to bring other people in, but it's not going to work because it's just not very good. It's not very memorable. It's not very distinctive. At least things like, Star Wars started a craze, but Star Wars was original at the time, and then Star Trek came and they hauled in all their own fans. And look at the sci-fi that's been popular since then. It's done its own thing. It hasn't been this generic shit.
But you look at something like Valerian. It's a beautiful film to look at. It's just dull.
Yeah.
And it's not engaging, and it's just boring. And you can walk away from that film and forget about it within 20 minutes.
I did.
And you'll never go back and want to revisit it. And that's what
certainly
this show makes you... Look, I've rewatched Next Gen numerous times, the original series numerous times, DS9. Fuck, I'm even trying to watch Voyager all the way through. I can't imagine ever in my life ever stopping and thinking, geez, I wouldn't mind throwing an episode of Discovery on. I wouldn't mind throwing an episode of Discovery onto a fire and nuking it from orbit. But
I'm struggling to come back every week to watch it.
With this.
I'm struggling to come back and see something that I haven't seen. Let's be honest.
And again, you go to stuff that did its own thing. I mean, Babylon 5 is a really good example of placing a situation where they're involved in, a growing war against the hideous power that, they're totally out of their depths and all that. And it does it really well. You have very three-dimensional characters. They have all their own little tech and all that stuff. You have arc stories, and it worked really well because he was doing his own thing, and it was actually interesting. This, to me, really plays like Star Trek fan fiction. Like some 14-year-old...
I don't think that's really fair on Star Trek fan fiction because it's far fucking better than this.
Yeah, actually, sorry, you're right. Yeah, but I mean, it plays really like some 14-year-old who's watched a couple of Next Gen episodes, thinking to himself, going, "Oh, geez, I could make a really good war series out of this," and just put all the shit down on paper. So it's playing like Star Trek fan fiction by people who actually don't know the universe, as opposed to people like guys that made Axanar, which we watched that the other week, and that was fucking brilliant. The 20 minutes of that felt like Star Trek. It was a dark look at at a warring time in Star Trek's history, and they did it really well. It felt like Star Trek. This just still doesn't feel like Star Trek. You get a few little glimpses when they're on the bridge, and they might have some banter before they kill someone, or someone shouts at someone, or, which seems the biggest theme in Star Trek Discovery, before someone disobeys a direct order from a superior, because that seems the fucking running theme in this series.
There is no chain of command.
No,
or respect for protocol.
No, nothing. None of that.
Orders mean nothing.
And there's no consequences. I mean, Michael Burnham started the war, killed 8,000, and she's now serving on this fucking ship. Lorca scuttled his ship, killed his crew, so they didn't fall in the hands of the Klingons. He's now in charge of the Discovery. Who's determining who's getting placements here? I mean, a couple episodes ago, the Admiral was saying to Lorca, "Well, geez, you shouldn't be in command of this ship. You're a little bit unbalanced." Wait until I get back to Starfleet.
You're in for it now, buddy.
Yeah,
There's another dead meat reference on that comment.
Yeah, and that whole sort of like they're trying to be heroic. They're trying to have these heroic things, like where characters like Kirk did it in Star Trek 3 when he went back and rescued.
They're trying to do it in every episode.
But that's the thing.
Every episode has to have a heroic moment. There's nothing in it that's just an episode. It's just they don't quite get that every episode doesn't need to have this heroic action from all,
that goes back,
not just 1, 2, 3 of the characters.
Well, that goes back to what we said very early. The reason, or if you look at Trek, if you actually examine the crews of each show, they don't have all these fucking amazingly dark backstories or anything. They're just on board each of their respective postings because they're the fucking best at their jobs. That's all it is. Kirk was a prodigy. That's why he was youngest captain, all that shit. Spock was a great first officer. You go to Next Gen, Picard was just a great officer. He was given the flagship. Riker was this prodigious first officer coming up. So he was put under Picard so Picard could mentor him and all that. Data was a great... They're all just great officers. You don't have to have all this shit, and most of the time they listen to what was going on. A lot of the stuff too, where people disobey orders, it's really sort of court-martialable offences in this series, which is
and
really...
back chat. Like this episode had Burnham's back chat to Lorca when he said, "No, you're not going." And she'd done whatever, had some speech. "Oh, no, I'm the best person to be in it, da-da-da. No, you're not going." And then some more claptrap. It's rubbish.
It's like the Mohawk bird who sits there doing nothing other than looking around when everyone's talking. Her first fucking line, as best as I can remember in this series, was to question the captain's decision. He should be saying, "Who the fuck are you?
Out.
You fucking steer the ship and look around when we're talking and look like you're invested in a conversation, but shut the fuck up."
Should you say, "Shut up, Wesley"? I mean, that's what it really comes down to. I mean, why are they talking about...
everyone back chats. It's just one of those things.
But I will say this, in regard to this series, I can understand why people backchat in this series, because Lorca just shows himself to be irredeemable, but he shows himself to be unreliable also. So they're all going to follow the captain.
Yeah, they follow the captain. It doesn't matter. He can be as unreliable as you want. You're there in the military, basically. You don't backchat in the military. That's what this is. You're in the military. No, but you don't backchat. Every episode, 5 of them are backchatting. No, you're in you're in jail. You get off my fucking shit. You do this, and then everyone's back in line.
That's how you stop backchatting. But he's never done that. He's got. I mean,
that's the fault of the writers.
Yeah, but that's like with Lorca. You look at he's got two of his officers. One, a woman who was responsible for 8,000 deaths. Sorry, not 8 million. Thinking about the people who are watching this. And two, a guy who was held in prison, a Klingon prison for 7 months and all that. So he's obviously very forgiving. He doesn't really give a shit. So people are thinking, "Oh, well, you can just chat back to this captain. Who gives a fuck?" No, he obviously doesn't care. So it's not like all the other series where they had a very respectable chain of command. And, all those sort of variances about when they would misbehave was... most time it didn't happen. It was just like, go out, here's the mission, do it. And if you go back to the Next Gen episode, I remember when they... I sort of forgot the title, but it was a Wesley one where he disobeyed Starfleet, and there was a Native Americans on some planet. They had to recolonize them.
That's where the Traveller...
Yeah, and Picard tried to do it. He was just following orders. He goes, "I know it's wrong, but I got to do it because I'm..." And Wesley was the one that disobeyed. I mean, again, it just shows they're following orders, because it's the military. It's a chain of command. You are in the military, and if someone...
break the chain, you break the military.
But that's the thing. People go, "Well, this is not the military. It's their exploratory force." No, in this series, they are the military.
Starfleet. That's what it is. It's fleet. It is a fleet. It's
but
military.
In this one particularly, it is because they made a point of it today. It's a scientific vessel which has been commandeered for military purposes. So they put a military leader in charge of it. So there should be no backchatting. There should be no shit. Like, you don't actually ever explore any of these fucking things that happen.
It's like Lorca. He's the win at all costs guy up until the point in this episode where he had to look after the peaceful beings that live on the planet Puvu or whatever it is. It flies in conflict with what you're trying to establish with this guy. He's caring, compassionate now.
You could have said, "We've got to save him," but that's because I want the satellite dish that they've
Well, that's
got.
it.
You know,
Surely he
What are
doesn't
you
give a
gonna
fuck
say?
about this, but he never met them. He was on the fucking ship the whole time.
But that's what I said. We've got to save him because we need the satellite dish.
Well,
That's it. Nothing else. It's just we need the satellite dish.
What would be more consistent with Logger's characters if he destroyed the satellite array and just made sure neither of them got it?
No,
Well,
he
there was no
would have
benefit
used
for the
it.
Klingons to have
Yeah,
it.
there's no benefit for the Klingons. He would have used it.
Can I just throw one quick thing in here that really shit me in this? And this
Really,
is
just
not endemic to this show, but it's generally across a lot of things these days. But those fucking devices that they planned to have the big bright flashing lights, has the fucking audio announcement, I am now connecting to this, and then sits there and goes beep, 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 all the way fucking through. Like, if you had to fucking struggle to find these things, you wouldn't have to blink twice to stumble across it.
And it's on the
she
bridge.
fucking takes one onto the bridge.
On the bridge.
And she got, not only that, she got onto the fucking bridge without anyone seeing it, and she hid behind a fucking column. Who said that? And like when you fucking like she talks,
Yeah.
who said that? And then she just popped out from the outside. It's me. I'm hiding over here. Hello. What the fuck? You seriously would not pick up a gun and shoot every fucking Klingon on the bridge saying, "How the fuck did she get on here?"
But the really good thing there too is Cole speaking. So he's going, oh, no, yeah. The translator's going, you should find her.
Yeah, no one heard that,
Yeah,
either.
no one's hearing the translation. And she shoots two Klingons. She actually shoots two Klingons. And then he's going, oh, who's there? And she comes out like with the gun up. Oh, no.
It's a mistake. I was cleaning it. It off.
It's like, I'm not going to kill anyone. You should have just shot him in the head then and just left. That would have been a lot better resolution to this.
Well, there really was no point in actually fucking entertaining a conversation with her to deliver exposition.
That
was the whole.
Well, I think they were stalling it while the Discovery was making the 4 million micro jumps to.
Jeez, that was a big fucking leap of faith. I'm going to fucking shoot one of them and hope they don't take an aggressive stance back, and then we can have a fight.
And not shoot me,
and then
I know.
discuss. And then maybe I can waste another half an hour of drivel.
And actually, again, to show how these fucking people, well, the writers apparently don't watch or read previous episodes. She comes out, she goes, I was the one that killed Takuma. Nothing. No fucking reaction. There should have been some awe, should have been some chatter, should have been guns drawn. Nothing. A couple episodes ago, when she was negotiating with Mud, she goes, oh, I'm the one who shot Takuma. You could sell me to Klingons. And
Yeah.
it's apparently a big fucking thing. There must be...
That's right, yeah. It was worth
Worth more than the Discovery.
Yeah.
She was worth more than Discovery.
But no, and you think in the Klingon universe, someone who kills one of their leaders would be fucking worth quite a bit. But no, And I actually reckon they try to do, I don't know if it was always planned, they try to do a bit of retconning because Kyle just said, you know what, who gives a fuck? I don't give a shit if you accidentally started the war. It's good for us. We wanted to fucking...
Yeah, that was good.
It's good for business.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not sure if they always intended that, but it seemed to me, it felt like, let's try and absolve Michael Burnham of some of the travesty of what's going on. I don't know if that was planned or if it was just, again, someone not watching an episode. But what's the matter? They're fucking dead. So, well, those Klingons are gone.
Nearly like me after watching that episode.
So I guess in wrapping it up, so what, they're fucking lost. That's the best we can come up with. We're lost.
They're lost in time, space.
Both. Sorry, actually, and if we're going to say, all right, so they're lost. At the end, they go somewhere, and we don't know where.
Who cares?
And that's the point. Who cares?
You sort of think back to the end of The Best of Both Worlds and Next Gen. That was one of the great fucking cliffhangers of a TV series. And you had some investment in these people. You cared. You're looking at that going, what the fuck? Do I have to now wait 6 months for this? And now this happens, and you're thinking, I couldn't wait 6 seconds to see. I couldn't care.
Yeah.
Whether January comes or not, my life's not really
But
dependent
again,
on knowing what happens next. I don't care about what I just saw.
One of the major things here is there's no fucking context, so they're lost. Okay, we know they're lost. Who cares? We know they're going to get back, but there's no context as to them being
But
lost.
again, I don't care about them. So this is
No,
the
no,
thing.
but this-
Get lost. Basically, get
But
lost.
this-
Stay lost.
Stay lost.
This is what I'm saying. If you're going to have a cliffhanger, you need to actually offer some context. If, for example, just totally random example, if they were in front of Earth and it had been pulverized, that would have been like, oh, fuck, what the fuck's happened? I will now need to come back and find
That's
out.
why they had to stay. They said, we're
the
surrounded by
starbase.
Klingon.
But you don't know where that starbase
But
is.
yeah,
They went to
there's no-
Starbase
again-
47. That could be fucking 28 billion light years from Earth.
There's
at
no
the
co-
edge of nowhere. Who cares?
There's no context to it. So, I mean, if they just did something like that, it would have been a lot more interesting. If, they went to Starbase
it didn't have a
46.
good. It didn't have a good reference. It's just there's Klingon ships
We're
around
lost.
us.
But that's the
Yeah.
thing, is we're lost. And seriously, and this is the big problem.
Oh, they're lost, all right.
Yeah. This is the big problem with Star Trek Voyager. The main reason I don't like Star Trek Voyager, and people think, what's he doing talking about Voyager? We're talking about Discovery. But Star Trek Voyager, they got lost in the first episode and took them 7 years to get back. Kirk and Picard got lost quite fucking some distances. They got back within 41 minutes. You know what? Discovery's lost now. They will get back. I know that. There's no tension. You gave us no stakes at the end of that fucking shot. Who gives a shit? They should have given us something to, even people who are, totally ambivalent now like us, or Chiefs beyond ambivalent, but should have given us something to sort of go, okay, I will now fucking have to tune in just to find out what happened there. The lost theme does not work. Give us something more than that, but why would you? Because you think it shows some debris in space, and it's like, oh, it's cool.
In terms of cliffhanger ending, that's probably one of the weakest ones I've ever seen.
And fucking, let me just say this too, and this is not even about Star Trek Discovery, it's about fucking Hollywood with their mid-season breaks. Get the fuck over it. It doesn't work, okay? It's a stupid fucking thing, started or popularized by Walking Dead Season 3, which was doing brilliantly up until that mid-season break, and they came back, and someone must have said, shit, we could finish this in 3 episodes, but you know what, we've got 8 now, what do we do? And they just fucking did nothing, and the show went downhill from there. And if you're gonna have a break, just have a fucking season break. Just get it over and done with.
Yeah, when they did that prequel series Caprica for the BSG stuff, it was a hiccupy start, but I actually was enjoying it, and it was building nicely. And then they had this fucking break, and it killed the show. People actually made the call at that point, going, yeah, I might have been mildly interested, but now I can't be bothered waiting 6 months for this.
This will be interesting when this comes back. To see if people are...
But this is only January. It's only 2.5 months.
Yes,
it's not long to wait.
It's a hefty break.
It's also a breakdown. I think what's the season? 15, 16 episodes. So you're actually past halfway now. I would rather they just did one more episode next week, and they said, that's the end of season 1, come back to season 2. So it's just a 10 episode season. I know there's all the financials come into it, the advertising, all that sort of shit, but I hate all these mid-season breaks. They're just ridiculous shit, and I actually reckon that weights the
I actually
season
don't know
1.
why you have a mid-season break when it's winter in the US. That's when everyone's home watching TV. You have a break in summer because people aren't home watching TV. Why do you have a mid-season break in the second week of November? Have 2 weeks off over Christmas, New Year, and that's it.
I dare say for one show it worked, and then the sheep went along with it, and they seem to.
But
think
that's
it's a
the
great
Walking
idea.
Dead. Walking Dead was one that
It's a
started it.
stupid idea. People are home. People are execs. They're home. They're watching TV. Where else are they going to fucking go in the snow? That's not going anywhere. They're going to be sitting in our house watching this stuff because they can't get out of their fucking house.
I don't know. I mean, so you think they should have a Star Trek Discovery Christmas episode?
Well, I
maybe?
think they should stop Star Trek Discovery now and never come back.
Maybe just have an episode where, Borgface goes, Captain.
This could have been a good
we're
opportunity.
scanning a fat man on the sleigh, and then he just goes shoot the shit out of him.
To actually show that this whole fucking first 9 episodes existed in an alternate timeline,
No.
and now they've jumped into real Trek, and they'll be blown away by a Constellation-class starship, and Kirk will be laughing at the helm, and then things can go back to normal.
I mean, one interesting thing I found was, sorry, backtracking into the episode, but when fucking Michael Burnham and Tyler were kissing, and then they did the pan out, and they panned out from Tyler's eye, Stamets' eye, and it was him looking out at the fucking, I don't know, the landscape or the spacescape, whatever you want to call it.
Jeez, you remember a lot from this episode.
And I just sort of
Fanboy.
but I waited for that to be like
Interesting
Stamets.
moment.
No, for Stamets to have projected everything that was going to happen.
Projectile vomited.
And then him to turn around and go, well, you can't do this because this is what's going to happen. I just in terms of visuals, I found it really interesting. Was it just a totally random visual? Or was it because Stamets was existing everywhere? Was he actually seeing everything at once? And was he seeing this possible future?
No, I think he's watched a different show.
I don't know what are you.
Did you watch an interesting show?
Did you see something that we didn't see?
Yes,
I'm
I'm gonna make you watch this part again.
No, you hit rewind enough during that episode.
Alex
Kurtzman.
but it's for all the funny stuff.
There's nothing funny. It's funny sad. All
right. So any last
my
thoughts?
eyeballs just melted. That's funny.
Any last thoughts before you pour your eyeballs back into your eye sockets?
No, not really.
Chiefy?
I got nothing.
I'm not going to miss this show over the mid-season
No, I'm
break.
not looking forward to it.
I wasn't missing this show while it was on. So, it was like, as we said a couple of weeks ago, Chief was, where were we, Asgard or something, and an episode came on, we just waited until he got back because nobody felt any urgency to watch his show. Except Kurtzman. Alright, anyway, that's it from us. Thanks for listening. We'll be back with a review next week. See ya.
Bye.
So yeah.